Another day, which means another Kris Tyson victim has come out. This time, surprisingly, it is a person above the age of 18. It is a woman by the name of Mooskina who has dropped a very long Twitter thread of messages and screenshots of a conversation and all of the horrific and vile things that Kris Tyson had manipulated her and tricked her and convinced her to do. So let's just dive right into it. Like, subscribe, share the video. It's probably going to get age restricted or ad limited, so it would mean a lot. Let's get into it. Alright, so I'm editing this part in after post-production because I read the entire thing, and to go in this with a grain of salt, these are all allegations. There is, text evidence and whatnot, but again, allegations. If we're going to make some serious accusations, such as sexual assault, dive in. Mooskina Gender Illineal over on Twitter says, I was sexually assaulted by Ava Tyson, and here is my story. For context, Ava and I are both adults and met each other as adults. Ava followed me on Twitter in November of 2022 after seeing my transition timelines on Twitter when I had under 500 followers. And we can see the Twitter DMs right here from Kris. I'm in MrBeast's videos sometimes. 1 million followers. You're a freaking inspiration and you rock. November 6th on a Sunday. On November 18th, she says, hey, you are too. Thanks so much. Also, you look incredible. How long have you been on HRT? Since like February. Thank you so much. So this was last year, 2023. Keep it in mind. We started messaging each other every day through Twitter. She confided in me that she thought my results from HRT were amazing and that she was planning on getting on HRT soon to transition herself. As someone who follows online culture, content, and streaming, I was overwhelmed. So we have another transgender person. You have two transgender people coming together to share, tips and advice and whatnot. Pretty wholesome for the most part, starting off at least. My emotions with being trusted with this secret information that I knew would be huge news. As a transgender woman who publicly transitioned a month earlier, I genuinely could not believe something so amazing had happened in my life after I had been through so much. Eventually, we talked about me potentially working for MrBeast, and she told me that she was sure she could get me in a video. Now, this is starting to already seem very similar to the Lava GS situation and all of the other people that have worked alongside Kris, who quickly pulls out the I know MrBeast card. As you can see by Kris's bio, it says, I'm in MrBeast videos. It's their only claim to fame. Her only claim to fame. You're not canceling me, Twitter. So she's pulling the card again saying, yeah, stay in touch with me and eventually I'll get you in some videos. You know how it is. We have a message. Also, just going to throw this out there. Please let me know if you guys are ever hiring for any type of work. I used to work as a floor manager at the #1 comedy club in Boston, so I'm comfortable around famous people and celebrities. I've worked mostly miserable jobs, sometimes working over 70 hours a week and still struggling to get by and transition. I've even worked as a chimney sweep, risking my life for $15 an hour. So I mean it when I say I will literally do anything you guys ask of me. I'm not sure where you guys are based out of nowadays, but I would drive there tonight for a job if you asked. My number is, censored. If you want to reach me, and I have a resume available if you'd like me to send one over. Kris says, I will definitely keep you in mind. We do videos where we need people to compete, so if you don't mind sitting in a circle or something, I'm sure we could figure something out. LMAO. She was the most famous person to ever show me that type of attention, and she immediately started love bombing me and making me feel like the most important person in her life. Within the first few weeks of us talking, she told me that she told her therapist about the positive impact I was making on her life, and that she had told her friends about me. She very quickly moved our conversation to Snapchat, and we've discussed that in the previous videos as well, where every single, little person under 18 somehow all have Kris's Snapchat, and that is where the messages that a lot of people don't see go. Snapchat is known for, you send something and it goes away in 24 hours, and it has the ability to delete messages, delete photos. If someone screenshots, it tells. It's a very sneaky app for very sneaky people. We have the messages here. Just gonna throw this out there. Please let me know if you guys are ever hiring. We just read that one. I'm pretty familiar with you guys' content. Haha, I wouldn't mind sitting in a circle, but surely you guys must be doing crazier stuff than that nowadays. Either way, thanks so much for keeping me in mind, and always feel free to reach out. Also, you get a lot of your hairline back on HRT. They don't tell you that when I get on it. When you get on it. I don't know if she's making fun of Kris's hairline or something. I don't know how the channel is ever going to top the Squid Games video. That was nuts. And yeah, you can add me on Snap. I'm censored on Snap. And it says down here you can no longer send messages to this person, so I'm guessing they got blocked. But we have a censored image. I'm going to guess this is like a pre-transition and after-transition image. You know, censored for obvious reasons. While I was under the impression that she was working on getting me in a video, we started having video chats on Discord. Ava asked me to masturbate with her on video call multiple times, and I always felt like I had to say yes if I wanted to be in a video or get a job. Now, this is common manipulation. It's like a celebrity thing. Like if you are, you know, a nobody and you're talking to a celebrity, it's kind of like a power thing. I'm not saying, you know, no one's forced to do anything. We're not accusing of Ava of, you know, taking advantage of this person in this situation, but it's definitely a power structure here. We saw that with Dr. Disrespect and that one trans creator who came out and said that they were doing all these cam shows and things for Dr. Disrespect, hoping to get a partnership, and they ended up getting blocked. Okay. On one occasion, she asked me to join a video call and ask me to masturbate, even though she knew I wasn't feeling well, which led me to joining her and then puking after a few minutes. Ugh. Our conversations always leaned in the direction of affectionate and sexual, and she sent me a lot of sexually explicit Snapchats, messages, photos, and videos. Our relationship was very confusing to me, and I didn't fully realize I was being coerced at this time. I'm kind of beginning to wonder, was this when Kris was married or after the divorce? I don't know. I didn't follow Kris much before all this drama. She eventually flew me out to her home in Greenville with a one-way ticket while I was still under the impression that she would be getting me in a video with MrBeast. The first night at her house, she told me to set up in her bedroom as I would be sleeping in there with her. I thought that this was potentially the beginning of a relationship. When we went to bed together that night, we ended up cuddling and kissing, which led to her taking her clothes off and asking for oral sex from me. I went down on her expecting to engage in sex that would be reciprocated, but when I was done, she made it clear that she did not want to return any favors to me. I was hoping that would not be the case the next time we hooked up, and I believed we would be moving to something more mutual. Over the course of the next week, Ava engaged me sexually and ended up receiving oral pleasure several times, but she never reciprocated any sexual favors in return when I was done. I was too scared to directly ask for anything in return, and she took advantage of that. The day she first posted publicly that she was on HRT was also the first week I was there. After making her post, Jimmy called her later that night while Ava was receiving oral sex from me. She answered the phone and had that conversation with Jimmy while I continued to perform oral on her. I was again now given access to very private information, which made me feel special. Something that happened consistently throughout our relationship. After almost a week, I was starting to feel really used and confused about everything. While I was there, and I found out through conversation between Ava, myself, and her friend that she did not have the ability to cast anyone in a MrBeast video. So there's been a lot of carpet munching for no reason at this point. I eventually asked Ava to buy me a ticket home and flew home the next day. Leaving Ava's house was incredibly difficult to process emotionally after that week. I remember trying to hold myself together while traveling so that I wouldn't break down in public. When I got home, I spent the rest of the night crying uncontrollably without fully understanding what happened to me. Ava and I remained in contact, but she did not show me the same level of attention and affection as she did before I spent a week with her. It's because you stopped munching that carpet. This was the first time we went through a cycle of her love bombing me, using me, falling for someone else, treating me like I'm annoying, jealous ex, and then coming back when things didn't work out. Shortly after that first week, she went on a work trip to Japan and invited someone else, but things did not turn out the way she expected. She was upset and flew back early from her trip, and she also offered me a job as her assistant and offered me to move in with her. I quit my job that month and moved in with her on June 16th and began working that day. I was supposed to start with a 2-week trial, and this looks like WhatsApp. It says, yes, he should be from Ava Tyson. Word, I'm just going to message him when I'm boarding my flight. Thanks again for everything. I really appreciate you. I really, really appreciate you too and look forward to working together with you. This was on June 16th, 2023. During this trial period in my employment, Ava continued to receive oral sex from me multiple times, and I started to feel like I was being coerced. Because I started feeling that way, I decided to try and avoid any physical engagement between Ava and I that could lead to more one-sided sexual acts. I took a short trip to my home state at the end of July and returned on July 28th. When I got back, I continued to do my best to avoid anything physically sexual between Ava and I. On July 29th, we were watching TV together alone in her living room with no warning. Prior physical engagement or sexual conversation, she took off her pants and started touching herself in front of me. I just moved in with Ava and left my job to come work as her assistant. In no way, shape, or form did I feel like I could say no without somehow risking my job or being asked to leave. She used that against me in order to receive non-consensual oral sex. Now, this is the part where, to me, it just kind of seems a little iffy. While we do know that Ava, Kris Tyson is in a form of power here, mooskina keeps saying, I feel like, and then says she used that against me. Unless if you have like proof that comes later that Kris knew she had this power over you and is forcing you to do these things, this part's a little iffy to me. Again, there's a power dynamic here that is a little weird, and you are using this person for sex. You're just whipping your bean out and start rubbing it in the living room. This statement is a little iffy. This was the moment that truly broke me for the first time. Nothing was enjoyable. It felt like it would never end, and my entire body just hurt from performing the act. It took me a few days to fully accept what had happened. Unfortunately, I was dealing with all of these emotions while on a work trip, traveling the country, and spending most of my time with people I had just met. The trip itself was very isolating as an employee, and there were several times where I broke down crying. I was on a 3-hour car trip to the airport with 3 people I had just met, and I spent the entire drive crying but trying to be as quiet as possible so that I didn't bother anyone. I then had to wait and board for an overnight flight from Boston to Los Angeles. When I boarded the plane, I decided to send Ava a message on Telegram sharing my concerns with her. Okay, so maybe that was Telegram and not WhatsApp. My mistake. I tried to do so carefully and navigate the conversation in a way that would stop me from being sexually assaulted again, but allow me to keep my job. Ava was very manipulative in her response and follow-up conversations we had in person once we had got to our hotels. We have a conversation right here. Jess, I'm going to guess is mooskina's name. Can we talk when we get to Cali? I've been put in a lot of uncomfortable situations and I haven't really felt comfortable bringing it up. I know we've hooked up in the past before I started working for you, but now I feel pressured and it just makes me feel really uncomfortable. The last few times it happened left me feeling empty and used. I know that wasn't your intention, but it hurts to feel like I'm an object around the house that can just be used. All the misgendering and dead naming and isolation I've experienced in this trip is kind of pushing me to a breaking point. I've been cryingly staring at a corner and bawling my eyes out since we left that last house, and I just need something to change just so I don't feel like this anymore. That's interesting. She mentions misgendering and dead naming, but she hasn't said that before. Maybe that wasn't related to Ava. Maybe it was other members of the, MrBeast team. Who knows? They just sent out the LA hotel info and my dead name is in parentheses next to mine, but yours isn't. So I don't get why mine is. Okay, so maybe that's what she means. Wait, if you're talking about the other day, this is from Ava. Wait, if you're talking about the other day, and to be clear, this has been my feeling since we started a professional relationship along our friendship. I don't want to do anything sexual with each other. That's a dynamic that can be misconstrued and is unethical for me. I have a thing where I don't respect my body. Like today, the person told me he wanted to use my body and I didn't want to at the time, but I didn't want him to be upset or mad with me, so I let him. That's what happened the other day. I guess I should have asked you to stop, but it just kind of happened, so I just let it. Also, about the dead naming, I have no clue why it has happened, but I would love to talk to blank with you about how to make it not happen again. I think you should also talk to blank so he can reassure you that this is hectic shoot and they don't really know what they're doing with the PAs. They drop the ball constantly, and B, it happens to blank a lot too. I'm sorry if this isn't working for you though. I completely understand and we can rethink things and I can work with you to make sure you're happy. You are an important person to me. I want to be your friend, and if the work relationship causes stress to that, I'd rather just focus on our friendship. I'm curious what they censored. Maybe Jimmy, maybe Chandler, who knows? Lots of names floating around. I'd love to talk in person. Jess, I definitely still want to work for you, and your friendship is really important to me too, so I don't want to lose that either. My emotions definitely just all added up, and it hit me like a brick on the car ride here, and I just felt so embarrassed that I couldn't stop crying over it. Also, I don't mind it being hectic ever. It's the dead naming and misgendering that makes me feel like there's just little respect for me as a human. In terms of being openly sexual with my friends and colleagues, that's something I'm always down for. But the way our relationship has developed between each other sexually is incredibly one-sided, and it just makes me feel used and uncomfortable. That's not your fault though. It's just the way things develop between us, and I let that happen. I'd really like to talk about this in person. Sorry I sent you that long message, and I love you. So, she mentions that she's fine with having, sexual relationships with her friends and colleagues. I mean, lots of people are. Adults are adults. But then she's trying to frame this whole thing as a sexual assault because she just didn't get any carpet munching back. Again, I'm not calling mooskina a lie or anything. Not even going to try to justify it because Ava Tyson is a POS, a piece of garbage. But again, I think we're meandering. We're switching around what definitions mean. I mean, I could be wrong, right? Ava Tyson says, I love you too. I don't know if I'll sleep tonight, so come by when you get here. She says, where are you? We agreed not to have sex anymore if that's how I felt about what happened. For several months, we did not engage in explicitly sexual acts, but we did continue to engage in physically sexual acts such as cuddling, groping, hand holding, and sleeping in the same bed, and sexual conversations and texts. We have two blurred out pictures from Jess, who's mooskina. I want to tweet these thoughts. Hot. God, so hot. So fuck worthy. Mommy, even. Okay, TY, I needed that confidence. I'm surprised Ava didn't call her dad here. Because, Ava loves calling people dad. That might be considered transphobic, my bad. Thank you. Yes, Mother Ava. And then it's a selfie. You're so cute. How about now? And it's Ava pulling up her pant leg or robe. That's not very sexual. I mean, for the next year, Ava towed the line with me between what was and wasn't an appropriate relationship with our power dynamic. These led to me having mixed feelings and receiving mixed signals from Ava on how she viewed me. She was able to manipulate me very easily with the power she had over me, which led to the cycle of her love bombing me, using me, falling for someone else, treating me like I'm an annoying jealous ex, and then coming back when things didn't work out with multiple people. We did eventually hook up one more time during a week in December, in which I was super emotional because my cat of 12 years that I brought with me to North Carolina was dying of cancer. I was spending a lot of time with my cat that week and monitoring her breathing rate, and she seemed okay, and then she passed away in her sleep before I expected it. Rest in peace. I found her curled up in a corner, showing no signs of life. I realized what had happened, and I sat down, picked her up in my arms, and started crying uncontrollably. It was very late, around 1 a.m., and Ava heard me, so she came to check on me and realized what had happened. I was hysterical and couldn't really speak clearly or gather my thoughts properly. She stayed up with me for about 1 hour, at which point I told her that I was going to take my cat to the vet in the morning so they could prepare her body for cremation. After an hour, Ava told me that she didn't know if I wanted her to stay or not, so she was going to go downstairs and go to sleep. I stayed alone with my cat until 7 a.m. and then took her to the vet by myself while I was still crying uncontrollably. This led to a lot of fights between Ava and I that week, in which she continued to gaslight and manipulate me into thinking I was the problem and it was my fault that I was feeling used. Whenever I became emotional or had an issue with how Ava was treating me, it was always turned around on me, and I was made to believe that if I didn't stop acting the way or prove that I was okay with everything, that I should move out and not be her assistant anymore. The cycle kept happening until Easter of 2024, so this is kind of recently, like 3-4 months ago, when Ava traveled with me to spend Easter with my family. We then spent a weekend together in Boston in a hotel while I showed her around the city. At this point, we were very close emotionally, and I told Ava how I was feeling about us and that I wanted to have a conversation about us. I told her that it already felt like we were in a relationship, and she agreed. I told her that the feelings I had were like that of a partner, and she said she felt the same way about me. She told me that traveling with me for Easter did something for her, and I believed we had something special moving forward. A few days after Easter, she had planned to travel to LA to visit a friend that she was talking to and interested in sexually. I told her this wasn't a problem for me and that what I wanted for us was an open relationship anyways. She wasn't ready to officially call us partners at this point, but she assured me that this person wasn't looking for anything serious and she didn't know if they were going to hook up. She ended up hooking up with this person on the first night and was calling them her boyfriend by the end of the week, and they were officially in a relationship. I had a huge problem with the way all of this played out, and I wanted some clarification from Eva on what she and I were. This led to a lot of fights, which led to me moving out in the beginning of June because of how bad my mental health was, with everything going on between us. Now we have what looks to be Discord messages. Get off the phone with your boyfriend, nerd. You're coming over next week, right? I remember when I used to be important to you 2 weeks ago. Ava says, you're not unimportant to me. I wish you wouldn't say things like that to me. It makes me insecure. I'm not trying to make you insecure, but sometimes I get insecure and feel that way myself. You became more distant and I get treated differently every time you fall for someone new, and that's really hard for me to deal with based on the nature of our relationship. And considering I gave up everything to move down with you and be your boyfriend and assistant. Be your boyfriend. I'm so confused. I'm sorry. It's a lot to deal with emotionally, but I also get insecure that you'll become so enamored with your new partner and you'll start looking for ways to get rid of me so that you can spend all your time with them. I think you're insecure about this because of the blank thing, because I've texted and called as much as I can. I played Elden Ring yesterday and spent the day with Chief and then did therapy, so I didn't look at my phone that much. I didn't even start talking to him until after my therapy appointment. He was asleep. It's super frustrating how every time I try to be happy, I have to be careful not to be too happy or you will start saying stuff like this. It almost feels like you're the one pushing me away because of your own feelings, because I've not changed how I treat you at all. I don't know how to handle this situation. I legit now have anxiety that I didn't text whichever app you messaged me on. You'll get mad at me. The anxiety I feel about this situation reminds me of whenever Censored would get mad at me while I was at work and say I was choosing work over her. I'm not choosing anything over you. You're my friend, and I just wish you could be happy for me after everything I've done for you. Not even just the monetary stuff. I've held you while you cried, went with you to meet your family, like I didn't do that for any reason other than it meant a lot to you. I don't know. To be honest, if you would have just acted like nothing changed, I would have loved for you to be around, but I genuinely don't think it's a good idea for you to be around Censored. Now, I don't know where to go from here because I understand you may feel this way, but I've gone out of my way to try and make you feel included, so I'm genuinely at a loss for what to do. Mooski says, it's not that you're too happy or that I'm not happy for you. It's not about not replying to my messages you don't see. I don't want to push you away, but I did want to make sure you understand my feelings and what I'm going through emotionally because it hasn't been easy for me and I've been so full of anxiety. Part of it is the censored thing and having Part of it is the censored thing and having some trauma from that, but I think it's more I have such strong feelings for you, which creates needs. Usually those needs are met and they go beyond just being included. It hurts to feel like that's something I'm constantly given and then taken away, and it's painful. It made me so happy that you were able to be there for me in times when I cried and came to visit my family, but I thought you did those things because you wanted, and that's just what friends do. I really thought we were something more than friends, and I'm trying to find a way to deal with that. I love you so much, but I don't want you to think that you can't bring me around people like censored now because I honestly like him, but I'm just scared of losing whatever it is we have. I don't really know what to do or where to go from here either. I just know I care about you a whole lot. I know the way I'm acting is me taking a huge risk, but I couldn't just let my feelings fester while I sit here and recover. I've also spent countless nights staying up with you to make sure you're okay, and have held you in my arms while you cried and bled all over me, and all the times I put myself in uncomfortable situations to be there for you, and I try to make sure you know that the money means nothing to me compared to your friendship by buying my share of food for us and gifts. It's really hard to just move on from all that stuff in such a short span. Like, I get we will meet other people and move on and play different roles in each other's lives at some point. It just hurts a lot to feel like it's going to happen so fast. If you want to call and talk, that's fine. If you want to take some space and then talk when I get back, that's fine too. Don't feel any pressure to call. I've thought about it and realized I'm the one who just needs some space to process. You've done nothing wrong and you've been an amazing friend, and I'm so sorry that I made you feel any differently. I'm still messaging you for schedule and work stuff, that's fine, but I think taking a break from the emotional stuff for me and just letting you be happy with censored without worrying about me is what's best. When I moved out, we had an agreement that I would keep my job as a hybrid travel, remote, and work from home position. When I reached out to Ava after moving out to discuss my schedule for the rest of the month, she informed me that she was already working on replacing me. We have screenshots of that from Telegram. I'll be on the road, so feel free to call if there's anything else you want to have done or just want to talk. I know we didn't get to talk too much about me moving out, so if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know. I am planning on flying back on June 16th and staying there until July 2nd, if that's cool with you. I was planning on spending at least half a month in North Carolina working and helping you out moving forward, but also do scheduling, managing, censored, pay bills, etc., while I'm in Massachusetts. Again, this is from June 8th. This was literally last month. That's kind of crazy. I'm probably going to let Censored continue working with me until I can get the divorce settled, and then I'm going to try and look into getting an executive assistant who can be here with me and focuses solely on improving my mental health. Creating channels to make getting back into work easier and more streamlined, and connecting with the people at Beast by being on location to make sure I'm getting things on schedule when they happen. I want to help you, but the company isn't going to let me have two executive assistants, and I need someone to be accountable for me. And I know you have your stuff. We can talk about it more when I get back. She says, that's fine. So should I not book the flight to come back? I just want to clarify if this is me being let go or if I'm being changed to a different position so I can plan accordingly. I completely understand your reasoning, by the way. I need to be able to focus on my own mental health, so I can't focus on someone else's as my job. It just isn't healthy for me. Also, I think you deserve someone who will feel more comfortable working with the company. Kris says, I think if Boston is where you feel like you're going to go mentally the most healthy, I want that for you. But I'm about to get back into the channel and I need someone to steer me in the right direction. I took this as kind of you resigning. This isn't really a mobile position. I'm going to talk to James about getting everything done properly. I don't want you to. So we have our first name that's not censored, whoever James is. I don't want you to feel like I'm firing you because I really took the abrupt move as you resigning. No, I don't feel like you're firing me, and I'm okay with moving away from the position. I clearly was uncomfortable after everything that happened between us over the course of the last year. I definitely wish some things were handled differently, but it is what it is. I do genuinely feel like my ability to do my job was being affected, so it's nice to be out of that situation. I did expect to keep the job because we had talked in person when we were both there last week. I thought we had agreed that me moving to Boston at some point and splitting my time between there and North Carolina would be okay, and I could keep the job. So I hope we can work something out where I can move away from the job comfortably. Hey, can you let me know if and when someone will reach out to me about my current status as an employee? Because I have to update my income with Massachusetts properly to avoid any loss of coverage. I felt forced out of my position and made it clear to her that I wasn't comfortable with the way things went down, but she didn't answer any of my concerns. I kept in contact with her and remained friendly while I navigated my departure from the company. She told me that she was keeping the company updated and that someone would talk to me about my severance and leaving the company in June. When this didn't happen, I asked Ava for another update on my employment. I was eventually given the correct contact information for HR. We go back to whatever this program is. I've never seen this layout before. But Ava Tyson, hey, can you let me know if and when someone will reach out to me about my current status as an employee because I have to update my income with Massachusetts properly to avoid any loss of coverage? Hey, I hope you didn't take my messages the wrong way. I didn't expect to lose this job when I moved on, so I'm a bit of a financial pickle. I need to find out my employment status as listed with the company and when I'll get my last paycheck as soon as I can. My health insurance is due soon, and I'll have to update my income after my last paycheck to avoid any loss of coverage. I already have a good job lined up, and there's a lot of sensors here. But I was going to see if I could get any financial help until I'm able to start that job. Also, I was planning on taking care of my car when I came back, so I have to get that taken care of. Ava said, you're still employed and I haven't even talked to anyone about it yet, but I'll keep you up to date on the process. Sorry, I was just trying to put anything aside that would stress me until I got back from this trip. Jess says, that's fair. I hope you enjoyed your trip. And then on June 11th, Jess says, hey, do you still want me to take care of stuff for you for now? I just wasn't sure because I keep seeing stuff in the group chat and I'm not sure if you're expecting me to help or not. I'm happy to continue to help with whatever you need, but I didn't want to overstep either. Ava says, it's just where I am used to sending things by default. Between us, James is going to use any company leverage to get me someone who can basically pick my life up and help me get it back moving. Until I begin the process, you will be on pay, and I will discuss with James, making sure you are taken care of, and since it's to help with your mental health, I'm going to push for them to give you severance. Also, if you find any companies in the area you think we can get you a referral to, the MrBeast thingy works great. Also, I want you to come visit me often because I love you, Jess. You will always be my sister. Jess says, hey, so I'm working with Censored to get my car started and sold, but it's pretty clear that this is going to take a few weeks. This puts me in a hard spot because I really need a vehicle with my current living situation, or I need to move out. And I'm also not sure what the details are for any severance or when my last paycheck will be, which makes it very difficult to move forward with purchasing a vehicle or moving out. I didn't know if you'd maybe be interested in purchasing my car, so I can give you the title and we could just have Censored sell it, making the process much faster and easier for me. I was planning on selling the car for around 3K since I paid 5K for it. I understand if you don't want to do this. Also, I was hoping to get some clear information and writing from someone of what my severance will be and when I'll be getting it, because that money would help me greatly in my current situation. Ava asks on July 2nd, this was literally this month, have they not contacted you yet? Yeah, no, I haven't heard anything from anyone. I'm pretty sure they haven't said anything to E either. Ava Tyson says, okay, I'll talk to blank. Jess says, is her email censored? Just wanted to look out for her email or just reach out so she has my best contact info. Before I talked to HR, Ava found out that I had talked about her sexually assaulting me and that I was planning on reporting her. Her reply was to send one message and then block me on everything. Yes, let me send her a message. Wait, no, it's censored. Whoops. You misunderstand me when I told her to hold off on censored. She should be contacting you. Sorry for the hold up. Wow, Jess. And I mean, I've said it already. Kris Tyson's a freaking sicko who likes the little ones. But I have yet to see a single thing that seems like sexual assault. I have seen two consenting adults going back and forth, having relationships, having intimacy, having a sexual relationship that may have been a little one-sided, and you try to accuse them of sexual assault to HR. I don't know. I mean, I'd kind of be a little upset at that as well. I learned that Ava told them I had decided to resign on my own free will, and that the first they heard of me leaving was that first week of July. I informed them that was actually what was actually going on with my resignation, and it became pretty clear that Ava had not been forthcoming with them about anything that transpired between us during the course of my employment. A few days later, I told them enough about what happened between Ava and I, which led Mr. Beast to launch a third-party investigation into the matter. So we have two third-party investigations going on in July 2024. It's definitely the year of the Christopher Tyson. I provided them with evidence of chat logs, screenshots, and gave them a list of witnesses in the company who had seen Eva and I being physical together. That was over 2 weeks ago, and in that time I have not heard back anything despite asking for an update twice. During this time period, the allegations against Ava for inappropriately talking to minors and more details of her relationship with Shadman became public. Seeing all of this come out and happen has put me in a uniquely uncomfortable position. I knew she had a troubled past, but I thought it never went past attack helicopter jokes and liking an edgy artist. I wasn't super online when Shadman was popular, so I knew very little about him and did not know Ava was associated with someone who sold drawings of CP. Odd points. It was already extremely difficult to navigate moving on from being sexually assaulted and being taken advantage of by someone I cared about who had an immense amount of power over me. Seeing everything this week has been extremely stressful, and it has been equally difficult to see people respond in bad faith with transphobia as it has been to see people blindly defend Ava and disregard evidence because she is transgender. That's a good point. And I feel like the only way for me to move forward with my life is to talk publicly about what happened. I don't want hush money and I don't want clout. I just want to be able to move on with my life and close this chapter. Now, you all may have finished your popcorn and drinks, but that was the chat logs of the alleged sexual assault between Kris Tyson and Mooskina. I didn't see sexual assault. I didn't. Again, there could be more that wasn't being shown. I saw a relationship between two adults that one adult had a little more power than the other, and it was both consensual. Both of them have, content creation aspects. One is an employee and assistant, and they were screwing around, munching carpets. And it just didn't work out, I guess. And, Kris found out from HR and blocked him. Maybe I'm missing something. Hopefully you let me know down below in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, share it around. It's probably going to get age restricted and ad limited because of a lot of the naughty words used in this video. But I still do what I can for you all for very little. So see you around.